So earlier today, I was informed that a trailer for The Last of Us Season 2 was dropping at some point during the day. And of course, it was while I was at work. And this thing is 4 hours old at this point, which is basically an
2 years
eternity.
ago.
Yeah, that was just like the season's already over, basically. That's how long ago this
It's
was.
done.
Um, so yeah, I mean, as you guys know, if you followed the channel, we're the biggest Last of Us fan boys and girls that there are.
Big
And
fans.
yeah, so we definitely can't wait. And because of that, we're gonna play. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna watch it. This is what Kaylee and I agreed on because it's hard to react. And I miss little things, and then I want to talk about it, and then I'm thinking about it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna watch and have a natural, realistic reaction to what we're seeing for the very first time.
Yes.
And we're gonna pause the video. We're gonna come back after we have watched it a second time, where I can actually pay attention like fully,
Yes.
and then you'll get our reaction, thoughts after. And I'll try to avoid spoilers while reacting, but at some point we'll probably talk about something spoilery and we'll let you know beforehand.
Yeah.
Okay, sound good? Okay, let's do this. Also, by the way we record this is with a camera in front of the TV. So we can't
Yeah.
even see
The full
like
image.
certain parts of the television. So there might be something that happens right there that I can't see. But that's why a second viewing will help.
Yeah.
All right, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Let's hear some of that Gustavo guitar. What do you think? All right, let's go. Yep, there it is. They love it. Careful. Little Ellie. So she gonna be growed up now?
All grown up that crawling? No.
Joel's watch. The
Hmm.
fireflies are dead. This is gonna be after the hospital massacre.
Yeah.
Was she looking at fireflies right
I
there?
think so. I don't know what she was looking at there.
They look like
This is where we live.
Jackson.
What's that?
A fence.
Hmm.
What's inside?
People.
Is that Tommy's
Tommy's
kid?
Yeah. The crawling? Ooh.
Oh, the Seraphites.
Yes.
But who was that? Okay. Abby.
Oh my god, in the snow.
Okay. Some shots we've already seen.
Ooh.
Seattle.
That's
This is
Abby.
Nirvana's I Know You're Right, or the museum.
Yeah.
Oh, the tattoo. See, this is I gotta hear this dialogue again. I'm talking over it.
That's Abby.
Oh, that's Joe, the actor. Oh, that scene. That's going to be the big scene there. That's a bloater.
You swore.
Oh, boy. So we're actually going to see that. Which, of course, we are because we have... Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll be right back. All right. So we're back. We've watched it for a second and, I don't know, third time. Yeah. I mean, as expected, right? I mean, it's as good as good as we would want it to be.
Yes.
So now we saw an article the other day in an interview with Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin, where they said that there was going to be some changes made, and Neil was like, you know, curious to see how fans were going to react to the changes.
Yeah.
It was definitely an article that was giving me some trepidation towards this, because the major thing that happens in this game, in this story, you know, the second game's story, whether you like it or not, I'm not getting into spoilers at the moment. It is crucial to the story.
Yeah.
So if they were to, for some reason, give in to the backlash and try to appease the other side, that would piss me off. Not only because I just don't think it would work any other way, but because it's like the people who literally like called in death threats,
Sure.
people who, you know, have shit on this series now relentlessly, people who have made people go into therapy, people get bodyguards, people who are currently working on this season having to mentally prepare for the backlash, to try to please those people or to worry that others might have a same reaction, that worries me a bit. Nothing in this trailer suggests to me that they've changed the main things. I think, like the first season, there will be changes. There will be alterations that are somewhat big, right? Like in the first season, they got rid of spores,
Right.
right? They
Yeah.
added this like mycelium, like fungal network below the
Sure.
ground. They changed the Bill and Frank storyline pretty drastically, like, right? So there were pretty big changes, but nothing at the core
Yeah.
of the story. But anyway, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it looks wonderful. As you said, like it wasn't anything that I wasn't expecting, as far as like the quality and the framework for what's to come. So I'm extremely excited. I think that this season is going to be like wildly emotional, much like the second game is. So I'm expecting to have like a lot of really high emotions throughout the season, and I'm looking forward to it because like that's what makes the second game, that's what makes the story so great. And as you were saying, like I don't think that there's going to be any major changes to like the core story itself. Maybe just some enhancements and some alterations and stuff, and then other things that might change around it. But I have like pretty solid faith in their storytelling capability and just like their understanding of the character arcs.
Yeah.
So I don't think anything is going to be like, as you said, like appeasing, these like, for lack of a better,
Cave
like the
trolls?
haters, I don't think that that's what they would, try to stoop to do. And I'm really looking forward to it. Like, cannot like overstate that.
Yeah.
Everything looks wonderful. I love seeing just, I think this is gonna be like just such a bigger season
Oh,
in
yeah.
general.
Well, bigger story.
Yeah, yeah. So many more characters and like moving parts and stuff. So
But we already know that's the case.
I know.
But the question then becomes, because of the format of the second game, and we're not getting into spoilers yet, but in the second game, you play as one character for a good amount of time. Then you take a detour and you play as another character during the exact same time and events of the other character's journey, but from a different person's perspective. And so it breaks up the game into two separate stories that are happening simultaneously, but they're done completely detached from one another.
Yeah.
Now, in a TV show, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't just do half the season from one perspective and then start the season over and do it from another perspective for the rest of the episodes. So they are gonna change the structure of the story for sure. And I do wonder how that approach will help ease people into this idea. So anyway, I'm going to start going through stuff that I noticed in here, and it's going to be kind of impossible to not at least mention some spoiler-ishy things. So if you don't want to know anything about the story, more than likely they're going to follow most things. So they will be spoilers, almost guaranteed. But if you have seen it or if you don't care, you can hang around. So obviously we start with Ellie trying to stay quiet as she's walking away from what appears to be a stalker, maybe. And then we cut to a Firefly, graveyard.
Yeah.
And if you look closely, it's out of focus, but in the background, it is a giraffe.
Yeah.
So this is obviously right in front of the hospital where Joel massacred the fireflies.
Yep.
I can only assume this is going to be an Abby scene
Yeah.
with her at her father's grave.
Right.
Right? That makes perfect sense. Not something we see in the game. In the game, really, we just see her nightmares where she keeps going down the same corridor and reliving the traumatic experience of finding her father's dead body.
Awful.
Then we get a shot, as I had said, I was correct. Ellie looks over and sees fireflies.
Yes, yeah.
Not people, but actual
like
fireflies.
The bug. Fireflies, which is cool.
Which is a cool nod.
Yeah.
Which then, of course, makes her think, right? So
yes.
I think what this scene's setting up is that at the end of season 1, like, Ellie knows Joel's lying. She chooses to believe him. It's like when you know your partner's cheating on you.
Yeah, and you're just
like, go ahead.
No, yeah, like you just are kind of like, I'll believe the lie because that's what you end up doing.
Because you love them.
Yeah.
Right? Because you love them and you want it to be true.
Sure. That's
even though it's not true, you're like, I just want to live in the fantasy where it is true because I love them so much.
Yeah, that's a good example. I mean, obviously they have a very different, they're not romantic or anything, but it's that is the kind of mentality that I think Ellie has when she chooses to believe Joel with, like, he's her surrogate father and she cares so much about him.
Well, she wouldn't want to lose him either.
Right.
Right, because she's already lost her parents.
Exactly. So,
and it's like, she's going to believe the lie because what's the alternative?
But
turning her back on him and losing another father?
Yeah. But as this trailer definitely shows, she can only, that's kind of something that I think the younger version of her is able to grapple with. But as she gets older, and time is going on and she's really like understanding what was lost and like the choice that was taken away from her, then it's really becomes an issue.
It's been a little while since we've played the game, and I do want to revisit it before the season. So maybe we will stream a playthrough of both 1 and 2. Maybe. We'll see. But my memory of it is pretty fucking good, I feel. But with that scene, it's at the end, so let's save it for now, and we'll look at the rest of this. I can only go seconds by seconds. Yeah, I have to assume that's Tommy's son. He doesn't have a kid in the games, to my memory.
I don't remember him having one in the game, but
yeah. You see
that
Dana.
really wonderful scene. Yeah.
You see the Seraphites who are hanging someone random. I don't know who this is.
Might just be an introduction to them, but I don't know who that is either.
It looks like a black man.
Yeah.
From what I can tell. Who that would be, if I'm correct, and it is a black man, I don't know. So I don't really have anything on that. The only hanging scene that we see is Abby's herself. So we see the Wolves, the WLFs.
Yes.
The Washington Liberation Front. Abby's crew. You see Abby here. Sorry, I probably should put these up on the screen, but you see Abby with Owen, and everyone else.
Yes, walking in the snow.
I don't know if that's the first time we've seen Owen. Maybe we saw him in the first trailer.
Yeah.
Mel is one of these people.
Yes.
I'm assuming Mel is over Abby's right shoulder. And then I honestly forget who the other two people are. I think one of the other people is the one that she encounters down in the tunnels. Right? They're being approached. They're not being pursued. This would be when Abby's being chased by a horde.
Yeah.
And Joel and Tommy come upon her and save her. Now, I think what probably happens here, we had talked about this, how in the game, the original concept of the show, and this might be the change, Abby comes to live in Jackson for a little bit in the original concept for the game when they had originally thought it through. And so what I see here is Abby creates a horde. That horde chases them and chases them. Joel and Tommy ride her into Jackson. And when they ride her into Jackson, they bring a horde with them. That's the attack on Jackson of the horde. And Tommy and them fight off the attacks as Abby is taken in. Now, will Abby like meet Ellie and whatnot before Joel's death? Or could they change Joel's death? Of course, that's what we were referring to earlier before we talked about spoilers. I I love Joel. Joel is one of my favorite characters of all time, but he has to die. I'm sorry. It's just written in the stars. When he makes that decision at the end of game 1, his fate is sealed. I'm sorry. He doesn't get to get out of it unscathed.
Yeah, there's consequences.
I'm not going to say he deserves what he gets, but he has it coming.
Yeah.
And it's just, it has to happen.
It is it is so important for everybody's character.
If you were Abby,
and for the entire story,
you would want him dead and you would kill him too.
Yeah. Yeah, I just highly doubt that. Could they change how he dies? Yes, but I really don't think that they're going to change it so that he does not die.
I don't think
that's
so
all.
either.
He might die at a different point in the story, potentially. Like maybe that's one of the changes, which will be interesting to get like scenes with him that you would never have gotten in the game. Like I could possibly see
we 100% get that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like just after the point where he's dead, I guess.
Flashbacks.
Sure.
They want to keep him in the show, and I think that's probably what is happening behind the scenes. They're looking at the reception of the game, and seeing how much backlash there was to it. They're looking at not only the history of The Last of Us, but also The Walking Dead, another zombie show that was super popular, and then the clubbing of a major character turned half of the audience off, and they've never been able to regain them. And it's like, we're doing pretty much the same thing here, but with an even more important character. The character that most people are watching the show for.
Sure.
And then we're going to ask them to take the character that just killed their favorite character, and she's going to become a very like sympathetic character that you're going to want to root for. That's going to be asking. That's what I love about the second story, is it asks so much from you as a person, and I really feel like it's important to see that distinction of both sides of the tale, and I think certain kinds of people can handle it and are the forgiving type and understand how to see things, and some people are much more vengeful and will never see past it. And but regardless, I think that Abby makes it to Jackson. I don't think it happens in the what is it, like a golf resort or whatever the hell that building is that she kills Joel.
Oh, sure.
Because it's a golf club, I guess. I'm thinking it's like a golf resort. But I think she makes it to Jackson like in the original game. From there, we've got more scenes of Tommy like we've seen before. Dina and Ellie going into Seattle. We got Seraphites. We've got a young white kid.
Yeah, for a second I thought that was young Abby.
Yeah, sure.
Because I thought that Abby had in the game, like the young Abby, for some reason I thought that she had that hairstyle. I don't think she does now, though.
No, she has the braid.
Yeah,
down
you're
the back.
You're
it's just shorter.
Yeah.
And then when she's older, it's longer.
That's true.
She is carrying a hammer, which makes me wonder if we're going to see a clipping of the wings scene for like the first time we see it.
Yeah.
Because they do use like a ball, like a hammer of sorts, to clip the wings.
Horrible.
Of Lev's sister.
Yeah.
So I don't know who this kid is supposed to be. She's white. She almost looks like a ginger. So that sure as hell isn't Lev or her sister, or his sister, sorry. And then we got more Seraphites running through the woods. We saw that before. Um, yeah, okay. Dina and her. Oh, the the museum. I mean,
Yeah,
this is
that's
my
gonna be so
this
exciting.
is my favorite scene in the entire game, in the entire franchise, or well, series, whatever you want to call it. But this scene, especially where it plays in the game, is so devastating and so impactful, so emotionally resonant. When she gets in that thing with the helmet and he gives her the tape, and then he's like, "Did I do good?" And she's like, "Fuck yeah." And when she closes her eyes and she has her moment, and you realize like she's never had a life like us.
Yeah.
She's lived in this world her whole life. All she has is fantasy. And that's why I don't like in the show she actually gets to play a video game, because
Mm,
in the video game, she has to close her eyes,
yeah.
and
Pretend and imagine
and then
it.
she gets explained it, and she envisions it in her head,
Yeah.
and that's all she ever gets to do. And I really hope they nail this scene. I have
Yeah.
no doubt they will. um as much shit as Bella gets for how she looks, oh my god, that is the dumbest shit of all time.
It's
Her
horrible.
performance is phenomenal,
Yeah, she's
and
wonderful.
I have no doubt she's going to kill it. We see in Ellie's room here, um, we see her showing Joel the tattoo. It's not
Yeah.
finished. She's currently getting the line work done.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably a longer process. I don't know. They're probably doing it by hand. I don't know if anyone has a tattoo gun or not. But this
So
is
it's a
this is in
little
the early stages
of the
of,
full
of
one.
Kaylee's tattoo. We do not see this in the game. To my memory, Joel seeing her tattoo and remarking on it,
I don't think
seeing
so.
its process.
Yeah.
Ellie's running down a corridor chasing after somebody. We've seen all this kind of stuff. Now, there's a scene here with Ellie um, with an infected, and they're
Mm-hmm.
blowing something out of their mouth, and we see all of this like spores around
Yeah,
her,
it
and
looks
it
like
blows something
spores.
out of its mouth. I wonder if they're gonna try to introduce spores, but like it's kind
Mm.
of a new thing that they're doing to
Yeah,
bring spores into this.
that would be interesting. It'd be interesting if she was like susceptible to spores somehow, or if it
Hmm.
like changes something with her.
Because like,
Although I don't
um,
think she should be because she's immune.
no, she shouldn't have any.
But
She shouldn't have any
I don't know
response.
if it'll change anything.
She shouldn't have any response. But she could be around someone who does, and it's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, that's the big thing. Ellie always has to wear a mask and have to
and
pretend like
pretend.
she's
Yeah,
not getting infected by them. And then she has that big scene, with the girl that she knocks down into the tunnels with her,
yeah,
and they takes off her mask, and she's like, "You're screwed." And then she's like, "I'm fine." And the girl realizes, like, "Oh shit."
yeah.
So I don't know. I can't
It's a
imagine they're going to
really
introduce spores, but I don't think so. I mean,
I don't
they
know.
basically outright said like, "No, we got rid of that."
Yeah, it's a really visually stunning scene though. So I'm excited to see what happens with that in the show.
Oh yeah, so we see the infected running towards someone climbing up a ladder.
That's Abby.
Oh, this is right. Oh, right,
Yeah,
because we see the next shot of this.
yeah,
So yeah, so we know where this is, and there's not really much to say there. Um, we see a new
yeah. This is
character here,
the
played by Joe Pantoliano, however you say that guy's name. I don't know what character that is.
no.
We see the sewer scenes with running on top of the subway cars
Mm-hmm.
with Dina. This is a really great scene in the game.
Fantastic scene.
Intense stuff. We see a fight with a walker. We see that girl I was just talking about. I forget her name. I'm sorry. Um, there's this. Okay, so then we see the Seraphites. From what I can tell, this is the hanging of Abby. Which, if that takes place here, I mean, I guess we should talk about this then, because we didn't know where we were going to go with this. But if her hanging scene happens here, if that's what this is, which it very much looks like, this might not be her though. I can't tell.
Well, all we get is her feet, or the feet of the
The
person.
feet of
So
the
it's
person,
like,
and we see him from the side. So maybe if I had it on a bigger screen and I freeze framed it and I looked at it, if it's Abby, then that means we're getting Lev this season.
yeah,
If it's not Abby, then that might just show what the Seraphites do to set up, a foreshadowing of what's going
for
to
the next
happen
season.
with
Yeah.
Abby eventually. But I'm going to assume that's Abby, if that is, once again, we're gonna get Lev, and we're gonna get her his sister.
Yeah.
I always forget the name.
I know.
I
do too.
hate
I'm really
that I
bad with
do.
names.
I am too, but typically, and then we see a flamethrower.
Yes.
Tommy's shooting a bloater with a flamethrower,
Yeah.
which is cool. But this is this is outside. This is when they're on their reconnaissance, because Joel and Tommy, when we first meet them, they go out and they kind of do like tours around Jackson to make sure things are cleared out.
Yes.
That's like when you have to go through the ceiling and all that stuff. Yeah, so this is outside. This is before they're about to run into Abby. This is probably the start of some of them coming out, and then they go to investigate, like, where are these things coming from, right? Because in the game, they haven't had reports of any much in a while.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, but it's because Abby and Owen and Mel and them kind of lead them in. And then we get the big moment here at the very end where Ellie says, "You swore."
Yes,
so,
which is heartbreaking.
This is a really big moment, because we don't see this in the game. We know that she finds out and that she's not talking to him. We see that she's mad at him at the dance. We figure out why she's mad, but we don't really get to see the confrontation. We then, he's killed, she's pissed off, she's regretting everything, she's thinking about everything. She never got to, have her peace. And then at the end of the game, the thing that stops her from killing Abby in the end is her memory of going to Joel, talking to him about it, but once she's already found out, and trying to be like, I want to forgive you. Yeah. It's going to take time, but like she's trying to like get over it and to try to understand it from his position. But we're actually going to see her find out, realize that she had the cure, that Joel stole that from her, and then her confrontation of him. This is such a major scene that I've always wanted to see.
Yeah.
And to be able to see that is worth the price of admission alone for me, just to do this adaptation.
Well, that's the exciting thing about doing adaptations of like video games and stuff, is because you can add a lot more context that you wouldn't necessarily get in the video game, because a good amount of the game is, you're also wanting to do things and like play a game, right? So
sure, of course.
In this sense, that they can really focus a lot more on the story and the characters' relationships and everything. So that's going to be really exciting to see.
Yeah, because we see in the first trailer Joel's going to therapy.
Yeah.
We see in this that him and Ellie have the confrontation where she finds out. From my guess, if I'm right, Abby comes to Jackson where she probably meets Ellie. So there's going to be a lot more Joel and Ellie story in Jackson, which could take up half the season.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't know, because if we are getting all the way to Seattle and Abby is, attempted to be hanged and meets Lev and their sister.
If that all happens, then
that's pretty deep. That's I would say not half, but that's pretty far into the game.
Yeah.
So those scenes have to be episode 6 or 7.
Yeah.
In my summation of just kind of the timeline.
Sure.
Unless they move around the timeline, which could be changes that they make as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe Abby's already ran into the Seraphites before,
Sure,
and had her hanging scene. I don't like any of that. I don't want that to be changed. I don't think that makes sense. But if they can sell it in a way, right? God, this first season just adds so much great shit. The opening of season 1 with the 1968 broadcast, and the kind of introducing everyone to the concept of the fungus and what it could do to somebody. The Jakarta opening of episode 2 with like the chick realizing it's like hell on earth, and she's like bomb the city. You know, I just want to go home and be with my family before you bomb things. And the Bill and Frank episode, like there's so much wonderful additions. The mycelium network in the ground, and on and on and on. We're going to get plenty more of those things here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is there anything that you would want to add here, like to the show, that you feel like is missing from the game?
Honestly, I don't know. It's hard to say because I would have never said anything about like with, you know, Bill and like that whole story arc. Like I don't know, like as I said before, I'm pretty much like trusting in their storytelling ability.
Yeah.
So I feel like anything that gets added will be wonderful. I mean,
It would
more
be
time in Jackson, like getting to see a little bit more of like the daily life with like Joel and Ellie in general, and that the town I think would be really good. Which I already feel like we're going to get that though, so that's not like a big ask.
I think
You
in
know?
here also we see Joel teaching Ellie how to play guitar.
We do, yeah.
Which somehow I missed in here, but
yeah,
oh,
that'll be wonderful. Yeah, so good.
Yeah, it'll be one change they could make that would be wild, right? That I think is possible is that Ellie and Abby are sort of friends before.
That would be interesting.
So that she betrays her and everyone there.
Yeah, that would be really
like they let her in, and she becomes like a part of Jackson, and they trust her, and then she betrays them and kills Joel and runs off.
Yeah,
that would be a major change. That I would be like, okay, that's what he's probably wondering how that's going to be seen.
Yeah.
And that then would make it.
I think that would be, it would add just even another layer.
That's what I'm saying.
So I don't think that would really, I mean, it would change things, but it would change things in like a really nice, like dramatic way too, because now it's not only just that she, you know, is killing Joel, but it's also a betrayal of friendship, which, you know, makes it even harder. So that would be interesting.
Sure, because, you know, then it would give more credence to like Ellie's pursuit, her relentless pursuit of her, when she just can't let it go over and over. So I'm going to go with that's the big change for this season.
Okay. We'll see.
Just don't try to not kill Joel. Don't, because I'm worried they're going to just have her like injure him in a way, like cut off his legs or something, and Ellie's super pissed, but no. Or puts him in a coma where they're like, I don't think he's ever going to wake up from it.
Yeah.
And then she goes off, and then at the end of the season, he wakes up. You know, something like that. Like,
it definitely won't work the same if that's what happens.
He has to die. I'm sorry. It's just, I don't see it any other way. Prove me wrong, I guess. I'm open to being proven wrong, I suppose. But I don't want them to change it. Not only because I don't think it works story-wise, but I also don't want them to have only changed it because they were afraid of the response of the trolls from the past.
Yeah.
That to me is just, it's not acceptable. Anyways, no one's listening anymore. We've rambled on
45 minutes.
Sure. But yeah, we're excited. The "you swore" line. Oof. That cuts deep, man. Ellie, you know, Bella Ramsey, Belly, is
Really?
really freaking bringing it, man. I don't care what anybody thinks about her. The amount of abuse this girl's taken online, the amount of shit I've seen launched at this girl because she doesn't look pretty or like the character or whatever the fuck. People online are just so awful. They're so awful. She brings this incredible performance, this incredible weight to this character, gives her even new layers that we never even saw in the original character. And still, no matter what, it's always about looks with people. People are so superficial.
Yeah, they are. They are.
I hate it so much. Anyway, that's that. I'm not going to end on a bad note. How wonderful
Yes,
that we get
it's
to live
very
in a time
exciting.
where we get amazing adaptations like this. If they were ever going to land a video game adaptation of anyone of all time, this was the one to land. Right? They can fuck up every other adaptation ever for video games, not this one. So I'm so glad to see that this one rules.
Yes.
This one is pretty much not only perfect, but like has improved upon certain story beats. There's things that I prefer in the game, for sure, and then there's things that I prefer in the show. And it's great to have both.
Yeah.
So, and it's easier to watch a show than to pick up a game and
It
try to
is.
play through it for the story.
Yeah.
Because the game takes forever. And I love it, but it's
much
different.
more of a...
It's much more involved.
Yeah.
Because you can't just sit back and relax, and you got to play, and you got to really focus, and you got to put in a lot more effort to watch the story. And with the show, it's like, all right, let's devastate myself. Let's watch Sarah die. Let's watch Joel die. Let's watch everybody die.
Everyone die.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, that's that. Anything more? Okay. Well, we'll see you in the comments. Adios.
Bye.